This next video is going to walk you through the mapping process. So we start off the overall process by tagging the different sections of the RFP that you want to pull data from. So everything's been tagged, you hit save, and it scrapes all that information. Of course, you can use multiple documents in here and tag as many documents as you want, as many sections as you want. But once you're done doing all the tagging, your next step is then to map all the requirements together. So on the left-hand side, we have the instructions associated with this RFP, and on the right-hand side, we have the different requirements sections of the RFP. And by going up to the very top, you can see all the different requirements sections that I have scraped at this point, and they're all built out in their individual tabs, where you can then so you can quickly change views. But the main point of this tool, this particular tool, is to get alignment. So you would align these different sections to your instructions within the overall RFP. And there's a couple of different ways to do this. The first one is just a simple click method, which you click the section L that you want to align content with, and then you would just go on the right-hand side and select all the different areas that you want to align, and then you would just come up to the top here. There's a button called Map Selected. You click that, and it pops right over on the left-hand side for you. So that is doing the alignment. And as soon as that occurred, a couple of other things happens. The first being everything that has been mapped turns this color. It's a visual cue to let you know that it's already been accounted for in the system. And up at the top, you'll notice that there are these scorecards, right? So this particular section M had 60 different areas that have been scraped, and 3 of them have been mapped in this case. And over on the left-hand side, we have another scorecard. As in for this particular RFP, there's 367 sections, unique section Ls that have been scraped. Both those sections are scraped by sentence, and one of them has content mapped to it. So that's the first method. Again, relatively simple. Just a click on the left-hand side, click on the right-hand side, and then you click the Map Selected button, and it pulls it right over for you. So, and it shows you, again, more sections got mapped, the scorecards, everything is aligned. The other method is just a simple drag and drop. So you just pull it and drop it. Again, very, very intuitive, very quick, very responsive as you move data from left to right. Now, as you're once you're done doing all the mapping on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, and actually, let me just quickly show we can render tables as well into the tool. So there's a table. Once you're done mapping the section M, you would just then jump to the next section you want to start doing the mapping with. And again, it's just a drag and drop or the other tagging method to get them to move from left to right and get your overall alignment. So a couple other things that you're able to do with a tool is at the very bottom, there's all these different functions. You have the ability to exclude content, include content, merge content, split content, and edit content. So you'll notice that they're all grayed out right now, and that's because in order to activate these buttons, you have to select an option, right? So in this case, by selecting this particular field, the buttons of exclude, split, and edit are now available. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and say, hey, this is a rather large paragraph. So section C is broken up by paragraph because section C usually has quite a bit of content in it. And so for reasons of alignment, you might have a situation where you want to break up this paragraph into smaller segments so that you can discretely map it to different sections within your section L within the proposal. So we're going to click within the box, selecting it. We're going to go down to the bottom, and we're going to hit split, which gives you this pop-up box. And all you have to do at this point is go within the pop-up and just click where you want it to split content. So right there, it's going to split the content one time. If you want to do it again and split it up multiple times, you can just click again. You can do it as many times as you want. So I'm going to do 4 times in this case. Once you're done selecting where you want to split content, you just hit save, and it breaks it out into 4 different sections. So this is a good point to bring out the codes that are associated with all the scraped information. So you'll notice in front of every single item that has been scraped, there is a code. It starts with and for section C, it starts with a C, and it's usually 00001 or 00005. That is a unique code that the system uses to track every single item within the system. So it can just discreetly identify what has been excluded, what has been merged, what has been split within the tool, and it just helps with the scorecards, and it helps with ensuring that we keep track of everything at the minute level. And so when I split that one section, which was C0002, it actually broke it up into -1, -2, -3, and -4. So all those unique areas are still being tracked. You know that they're all linked to the original paragraph. And at the very top, it will have added 3 new sections within your scorecard as well. So now, once these are broken up, now it's just a simple drag and drop to start mapping those discrete sections to the potential different sections within section L that you want to map them to. So we're going to walk through a couple of the other uses of the tool. And again, same buttons are available on the left-hand side with the addition of one button that is called Add Row, which is also available. So real quick, we're going to go through, let's say that the exclude button. So in this particular case, there was a notation within the RFP that said end of provision, not relevant to the overall proposal. So we're going to select it, and we're just going to hit exclude. Now, if you look at the top of the scorecard, as soon as I hit exclude, it's going to go from 367 to 366 as far as items that require mapping. So it's been accounted for within the tool as well. And then we're just going to jump back over to the right-hand side, and we're going to show you how you would merge content. So obviously, when you have splitting capability, sometimes the opposite occurs, where you want to actually merge different content together in order to kind of clump all that information because it's relevant to one area. Now, you always have the ability just to take multiple sections and map it individually if you wanted to. But if you did want to combine sections, you would just simply select the sections you want to combine. And again, as soon as you hit multiple sections, the merge content pops up. And so you would just click merge. And again, it takes all that information and puts it into one area. Now, again, because I merged 4 different sections, the counter dropped by 4 in this case. And I'll show you in a second when we look at the detailed scorecard how all of that gets tracked. But now that this has been merged, you can now just drag and drop that entire section on the left-hand side. Now, if you didn't want to merge like these bullets, you could just take those bullets individually and just map them to the left-hand side too. It's really a preference on how you want to track all of the information when you use the merge button. So we have a button called include. So this is essentially the opposite of the exclude, right? So we have a button over here. It says show excluded. So you can hit that button and it'll pop up areas that I've already excluded. So I excluded this one table from the left-hand side, and I excluded this end of provision. So let's say I wanted to bring the table back in. So I would go back over into that section, click or select that section that was excluded, and I would hit include. And as soon as I hit it, it jumps back in to the overall instructions section, and that counter accounted for the fact that I've included a section by bringing the count back up to 367. So that is the include button. So we've gone over exclude, we've gone over include, we've gone over merged, we've gone over split. The next area that I want to talk about real quick is add row. This is only available on the section L, because this is the anchor section. This kind of defines the number of rows within your overall compliance matrix. And so there are cases where you might want to add a blank row, because in your overall outline within the requirements matrix, you might not have a section header associated with the direct L content that you want to map additional information to. It looks a little bit easier it's a little bit easier to explain when you actually look at it in the compliance matrix. So what I'll do real quick is I will select a row. At the top, I will add a row. Okay, so again, discretely tracking. So now I have L0002-1 and L0022-2, right? So it shows you where the linking occurred. And now I want to discretely map a section there. I want to map a section to the new row. And when I go over into the compliance matrix, and I'll jump over the compliance matrix real quick, you'll see that I have that first row and that second row, and they both have information discretely mapped. And the reason for that is when you're developing your outline, which I go over in a little bit more detail in the compliance matrix video, there's sometimes there's a case where you don't want to have an outline number and an outline name associated with the row. It's just extra content you want to just discretely call out, but in this case we're going to map it like that, and that's why potentially you would use an extra row if you wanted to map it that way, or you could just take that content and align it to the section above. It's really just kind of a personal preference on how you want to organize the content. So I'm going to jump back to the map RFP. So I'm going to go back up to the top. Actually, there's two options here. I could go to the previous button or just go up to the process flow buttons at the top. In this case, I'm just going to go back to the process flow buttons at the top, and I'm just going to cover the edit function. So if you were to get a modification and you wanted to go into the system right now and just edit some content to account for a modification, you would just click on that area, you would click edit, you would go into that section and add the content from the new modification. In this case, I'm just going to type out add content. So once you're done adding the content, you just hit OK, and it adds that content right in there for you. And so there's a couple of other tools at the very top that I want to cover real quick. One of them is called hide linked on the far right hand side. So this is the tool that filters out everything that's been linked. So if you want to use this as sort of a workload management tool, where as you map, the actual queue gets smaller because it's been processed, you just click on this button and it all disappears. And so as you map, like I'm mapping M0030 at this point, as I map this from left to right, it's going to disappear from the right hand side of the queue, right? So you're mapping content and it's getting the whole queue is getting shorter and shorter because you're taking all of that linked content and you're essentially just hiding it. If you want to bring it back, you just say show linked top right now. And if I go back up, it shows you where they've been linked. And so another thing that we have is the ability to track the documents. On the left-hand side, there's a button. If you say show document number, you click on that and it shows you which document from the tag screen it grabbed this content from. So in this particular case, this was all grabbed from document 1 and page 1 of that document. So if you recall, if I go back to the tag document screen, it does break up the different sections into pages, right? So in this case, it was less than 100 pages, so it's 1 of 1. If it was 200 pages, it would be 1 of 2. And so if I tagged material from page 2, in the map RFP tool, when we show documents, at some point when you toggle down, it would say 1.2 to let you know that this particular content was pulled from page 2 of document 1. And so it's just a quick way to kind of show you the link between the tag documents and the scraping tool that landed within the MapRFP tool. So it's more relevant when you've got 10 or 12 different documents you're working with, and it's a way to kind of just verify that the content you've tagged is in fact been pulled over into the mapping tool. So if you want to get rid of that, you just simply hit the hide document number and it disappears, so you have more real estate. You have an expand all button, so if you were to collapse all the different sections, you'll notice that we have this little icon, expander icon. You can individually click on a section to open that up, or you can just say expand all, and all the items that have been linked are now available for you to see within that section. You can then, of course, collapse all. So the very last thing I'm going to show you is, just like on the tag document screen, there is pages used at the very bottom. In this case, there's 3 different pages that have been, or probably more, that is highlighted as well, but you can just go through the different sections and it'll show you all the content within those different sections. We've done that in order to get this tool to be much more responsive, because it can slow things down if it was unlimited. We do give you the ability also to determine how many rows within a particular section you want to see. So right there, you have it's maxing out at 100 rows, or you can change it back to 50. So that concludes the MapRFP tool. Again, the primary requirement within this overall tool is to align the different sections of the RFP that you've scraped material from to section L instructions. Once again, if you want to dive deeper into any one of the solutions that I just showed you, or any of the functions I just showed you, there are some quick tip videos that you can view within the training videos on YouTube. Again, just go to your username at the top and go to training videos, also available on the left hand side in the drop down there as well, training videos, and it'll bring you to this video as well as a deep dive video on all the different functions within this tool.